Hello, everyone. My name is Nauraiz Rana, and I'm an economist with the World Bank. I'll be hosting today's program on New Wave, in which we will be talking about the gaps and challenges that tend to inhibit the education landscape in Pakistan and the functioning of public sector schools. And for this discussion, I would like to welcome a very special guest. I have with me Mr. Mohyuddin Wani, who's currently serving as the Federal Secretary of Education in Pakistan. He's a 21st grade bureaucrat officer of the government and has previously served as the Chief Secretary of Gilgit Baltistan and also as the Managing Director of the Pakistan Education Foundation. He's very well versed on the topic and he's done a lot to contribute towards it in the country. And with that, I would like to welcome you, sir. Thank you so much for your time and being here for this discussion.
Thank you very much.
So before I turn to you, I just want to set the stage very briefly. Education is a very fundamental and a key component of development, economic growth, economic prosperity, and the well-being of the country overall. Everything hinges upon it. Everything is contingent upon good investment in education and human capital. But in Pakistan, at the macro level, if you look at the numbers, according to certain estimates, 26.2 million children of school-going age are not in the school, and that constitutes about 44% of the population. Uh, this is quite glaring and quite glaringly it's a humongous issue. Honestly, it's very scary to say so. With our population growth, it's getting even more difficult to kind of encompass and welcome these children into school and make sure that we are able to develop a well-educated, well-rounded workforce, human capital that can contribute towards the country's development. Has the government done any evidence-based interventions or just analysis to understand what the key issues are? Why is this happening, and why is this an ever-increasing problem?
Thank you very much. First thing I want to say that you have very eloquently explained the issue at hand. And but the most unfortunate part is in Pakistan and in those who talk about education for Pakistan, they are like more interested in long-term reforms in education, and they are not ready to address the issue at hand. Sometimes you overthink and overthink and overthink, and you do nothing. And we
Uh,
wait for perfect solutions, and at the end, we are there doing nothing. If you come to my office, you will see almirahs and almirahs full of reports of friends like you for the last 30, 40 years. Lot of data, lot of evidence, and but no implementation. The thing is, uh, best practices are all around the world. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to do a fresh gap analysis. You know there is an access issue. You know there is a security issue. You know there is a girls' education issue. You know there is a quality of learning issue. You know there is inadequacy of teachers issue. You know there is a gap in training. Everybody knows. It's just repetition every time. So what I did in the last 2, 3, 4 years, I never started a new analysis or a new structural reform within education debate. So that's why I thought it is a waste of time. So I started with low-hanging fruits. So low-hanging fruits in education. In those days, COVID was there. So
mm,
everybody was interested in embedding technology in new education policy. So from there, I learned a lot of new interventions which were like being implemented all around the world in Latin America, India, and Singapore. So I took out those which were for me possible to execute with low budget. So I started in Gilgit Baltistan. I started the most popular school meals program, which is very globally accepted innovation within the last 3, 4 decades. Because with 48% stunted students with
exactly. Yeah.
low BMI, you can't have any education.
Absolutely.
They are they are bound to leave the school. They are bound to be add to this out of school children if you are not going to address their nutrition. So we started school meals program in Gilgit Baltistan, and the result was average enrollment enhancement by 25%.
Oh, wow.
Then the impact was the attendance went up from 65 to 95%. The retention was 99%. Dropout stopped because their stake was, the parents' stake was that the cost of meals was almost brought down to nil. The kids were very interested to eat that cultural meal, and then they were focused on their learning work in the schools. Secondly, we started health intervention. Now, can you imagine in Pakistani schools, especially in Islamabad and adjoining areas, 22% students are short-sighted. So they can't read the blackboard. So if you can't read, look at the word, what can you study? The teachers will think that you are a dumb kid. But actually, when we started this reading process, so we were able to understand that that was a myopia problem with the kids. So we started giving them free glasses so that the stress and the headache should go away, and the kids are more interested in. So these were certain basic interventions which I started. Then another thing, the kids, majority of the kids who are studying in public sector schools, they are from the poor background, from very poor background.
Yeah.
So living in a one bedroom, one room house,
Exactly,
no space to play, no place to enjoy. So I tried to make the public school so beautiful, so colorful, so enjoyable, so that when the kids go there, they should stay there, they should enjoy, and they should study in a good, colorful environment, with a good library, with a good IT lab, with good sports arena. So we started these basic interventions. So I never added new schools in 2 years in Gilgit Baltistan, but I tried to innovate the whole ecosystem of learning for students, so that they should be attracted to enroll, and then they should be retained. So that intervention was another intervention. Then there was, in Gilgit Baltistan, there are a lot of power outages, 20 hours, 25 hours. So I solarized 300 schools in Gilgit Baltistan with 5 to 10 kVA solar panels. Then I established 400 smart schools. And the most interesting part is in Gilgit Baltistan, there is a connectivity issue in remote areas.
Absolutely, yes.
So we applied offline solutions for them. So preloaded material was given to them, and through internet, the kids were able to see those animated videos of lectures, of lessons, and for them. So that was very attractive for them. So that innovation went very well. For at least, again, for kids, it was an exciting thing to see, to learn through video lectures with the help of their teachers. The teachers were not eliminated, but they were attracted and they were supported with this stuff. Then we adopted a new strategy of introducing non-assessed curriculum. Like we started entrepreneurship curriculum from grade 6 to 10, embedded with STEM and computer education. So for 2 years, the kids were enjoying making projects in robotics, and learning Python, learning Scratch, learning other languages and STEM projects. So for 2 years, they were involved, and I recruited through third-party hiring from tech companies and ed-tech companies. 100 teachers were recruited, they were trained, and they were deployed in 200 schools. So that was another innovation.
I just want to add, this is phenomenal interventions, and to be honest, I have never personally ever heard of them ever before. And I believe that these.
So I will say that there was a study carried out by UK Aid, World Bank, and EdTech Hub that was recently published. I will share the copy with you, and you will see, because I engage private sector partners. So when you collaborate with private sector partners, so you get their best input into it. They are more efficient, better than us, and they are scared of being fired if you don't deliver.
Absolutely,
yes. So when I came down in Islamabad, I scaled up this whole activity. And here in the last 5 or 6 months, I've upgraded 100 schools in Islamabad. I've added robotics labs. I had, again, colorful schools, robotics. I've started another initiative, Mind Games Initiative. So in schools, we established mind sports rooms where kids are enjoying Scrabble, chess, and rubber cubes, so that their cognitive development is triggered. So I'll show you the report also, how the kids are now getting excited. It has started from 30 schools, but it is expanding. You can't do everything in one day, but you have to start from somewhere. Then we have,
Absolutely.
I converted all the degree colleges of Islamabad into high impact IT training institutes. So 16 degree colleges, state of the art IT labs were established in a very colorful environment. I will share the videos and the pictures with you. I affiliated them with NUST, GIK, NAMAL, and COMSET, and I adopted an AI data science and blockchain course of IIT Madras, and that was executed here. Now 500 students are being trained. In the next batch, 1,000 students will be trained. Then again, first time in the history of Pakistan, in public schools, from tomorrow, 1,000 students will be trained in Japanese, Korean, Chinese, and German. 4 languages, foreign languages. I made an agreement with NAMAL, and now it's a 6-month certification course for the kids to get excited to learn new language, new culture, new skill. So next year, in the next batch, we will add it to 2,000. Then I have hired coding and AI fellows through a competitive process, and in 150 schools, coding and AI course will be taught to primary school students. Another 175 will be fellows will be hired to teach again STEM, entrepreneurship, and computer to grade 6 to 10th school. That STEM, that entrepreneurship curriculum, I was able to secure from Kejriwal in Delhi. He basically introduced this thing. We approached his team. We got that, and we little bit tweaking, and we have applied it in Islamabad. It will be rolled out in a couple of weeks. So whatever I dream, I do it. So I don't wait for a perfect solution to come. I have seen a lot of good things happening around. So I have started establishing podcast rooms in colleges. I'll share with you the girls now involved in public speaking, engaging conversation, so that they should get that confidence to talk on different issues. Then we had a top of the line summer camp this summer, where we engaged 5,000 students and invited a lot of people to carry out tech boot camps, chess boot camps, mind games boot camps, health boot camps, yoga boot camps. You think of anything, and it was done. A lot of universities were engaged. A lot of private sector institutions were engaged. A lot of individual motivational speakers came. Atar Manalla Saab came. Iman Mazari came. DGISPR came. So it was a like combination of CEOs in different fields, doctors, UN, civil servants, telco people. So we wanted to inspire kids to trigger their imagination, because poor people, they are not even allowed to dream. So at least,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you will say you are doing in Islamabad. So if Islamabad can't be made a model of excellence, how can I advocate for other provinces? But what we
Yeah.
are doing is we are inviting provincial reps to come to Islamabad to see what we are doing, and we are sharing our activities, our experiences with a lot of data with them, so that they. And interestingly, KP has adopted our School Wheels program. GB is already running. Baltistan has adopted. Punjab is doing in a pilot phase. A lot of other stuff is being like progressively adopted by other provinces. So it's a very healthy competition. We are there to support them based on our experiences. And then another thing, inshallah, next 3 months, 125 rural schools of Islamabad will be solarized, so that their IT labs will become more functional, more predictable, and our expenditure on hefty utility bills will be brought down, and we will be able to recover the cost in 20 months. Another innovation, we have established 5 software technology parks within our colleges. You see big halls in colleges which are underutilized 5 or 10 times a year. We have converted them into very colorful software technology parks with free electricity, free internet, no rental space, no rental costs. So 2 for girls, 3 for boys. And now they are ready to be populated and marketed to youngsters to come and to have a relationship with an academia working there in a co-working space. So we have been doing this thing. So it's more of an imagination, less of a policy. Because the moment I talk about policy, a lot of issues, everybody says that I am an expert, engage me. I am an expert, engage me. And I end up with doing nothing. So already policy documents are there. World Bank has done a lot. ADB has done a lot. UN has done a lot. Everything is available. So we have to just customize them, and we should do immediately. And maybe at times we'll make mistakes, but it's better to do something and go wrong than not to do anything and to wait for a disaster in making. So many solutions we are more suggesting to the government, like I've suggested to them to introduce risk insurance for those schools which are damaged in floods and earthquakes. So we have to allocate sizable chunk of our development program to rebuild those schools. So we have requested them to chip in 1% of their development budget to ensure public sector buildings of education and health in vulnerable areas. So that whenever earthquake comes or flood comes, your national development program doesn't get hit, and you get immediate money so that you can rebuild those places. So that's the whole story, which is being unfolded by my intervention. But I'm lucky that I've secured the support of my bosses, political bosses, administrative bosses, because the more you work, the more you get positive comments from social media, from academia. Then the top supports you, and he gives you more space to innovate.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these are all very phenomenal interventions, and especially at the micro level, like you see that, you can see the impact unfolding firsthand. And like the numbers you shared before you started elaborating upon the different measures that you've taken, highlight the fact that, enrollment has gone up, or there are more children that are coming back into school. So I just want, on that very note, I know that since the 18th Amendment, education is now a devolved subject. Now it goes to the provinces. And do you think that the measures that you've undertaken and now they're showing results, but that at a smaller scale, do they have the ability and the capability that they can be scaled and replicated across other parts of Pakistan? Because some of the time that the issues that are highlighted that have come across, if you're talking about rural Sindh or interior Sindh, are very, very basic. There are presence of ghost schools. Then you have children, teachers who are not showing up. There's a political economy factor, as well, that they're teachers on the payroll just because of the fact that they have patronage with certain political party. That could be any party. But then, how is the system itself making sure that these mayors that again that are being abused and exploited, they're addressed and they're treated nightly?
You are right. The thing is, we have certain policy instruments through which we can leverage our activities to be introduced in provinces. Like we have an Aspire program in which we are giving budgetary support to provinces. So there we have a lot of policy actions linked to this issue. We were able to convince provinces to announce foundation learning policy for better learning, better numeracy skills through a national education emergency task force. Again, we are sharing each other's experiences. And this creation of national education task force itself has generated and triggered a competition between the provinces, because every provinces now wants to come and showcase what they are doing better than other provinces. So this national debate has helped us. And in addition, there is a fund called National Challenge Fund project, which was approved by CDWP, and I hope the Prime Minister will approve it in the ECNIC. That will also start a program of 25 billion rupees to be given to provinces in the lagging districts so that they can be pulled up. So, and Prime Minister has also has been kind enough to announce that his interventions in even devolved subjects will be restricted to the lagging districts of Pakistan, whether it's Balochistan, Sindh, AJK, GB, and less in Punjab. Only one district, Rajanpur, is part of that lagging district regime. So these are policy, in policy, there is a shift. Now the Prime Minister is also convinced the Federation should now focus, federal government should not shy away to support in devolved subject, but they should support in lagging districts of Pakistan, which are contributing 90% of our out-of-school issues and student issues and poor quality of learning. So it has to be a mix of provincial interventions and federal support. So that will help. And lastly, technology is the most cheapest solution to intervene and to help. So we are also encouraging them to get a technology solution for the students. Go for budget laptops, go for refurbished laptops, bring down the cost, take it down to schools so that the kids, they don't need now classroom type ecosystem. They need more access to technology so that they can have access to Khan Academy type stuff, all either at tech stuff. The kids are very quick learners. So we have to now first adjust ourselves and allow the kids to adjust to learn.
Absolutely, you're very right. And like in developed parts of the world, we do not have the financial resources as other countries do, who are like much more developed than us. But even they've started injecting these, the iPads even at the elementary school level to kids who are going into kindergarten, and they've come to the realization that this is the way forward. And the fact that you are recognizing that, you're realizing that, I think that's also a step in the very first direction. And then closely related to that, talking about financial resources, there was this budget that was passed this year as well, a couple of months ago. And a lot of the critique that the government tends to face is the fact that they do not invest enough in human capital, that is education and health. So at the implementation level, have you ever experienced lack of resources or some issues, constraints, bottlenecks in terms of the funds that you need in order to, implement all these various interventions that you envision?
Basically, at times the calculation of allocated budget or enhancement is also motivated by a lot of vested interest. If you say, if I say that I need triple budget, then the motivation will be to add more to infrastructure, brick and mortar, a lot of corruption, inefficiency. So if you do your work smartly, this budget is enough. I have been able to save a lot of money from the existing projects and to redirect it in an efficient way. Brick and mortar, either you do it with the help of private sector, it will be much cheaper. But if the government builds new buildings, it takes 5 to 7 years, and then you create new vacancies. And at the end of the day, it's not an efficient solution. But again, if we increase the budget to like 5% or 7%, rest assured 8% will go to brick and mortar, which is of no use for us. So we need good money, but to be spent in technology, equipment, teacher training, teacher hiring, school meals, this type of stuff. We start building big. Can you imagine schools are being built and 25% of the budget is spent on the big boundary wall? So, which is of no use in cities. Big boundary walls, so big hostels, colonies, other places. So you have to just build classrooms, one essential IT lab, one library, and one sports arena. So, and in Islamabad, I started converting abandoned hostels into academic blocks, new IT labs. I'm not constructing new buildings, but I'm reutilizing underutilized building. In Gilgit Baltistan, I converted 2 jails into academic buildings, 1 election commissioner building into NCA block. So you have to plan to go for smart solutions. And for this, maybe this budget is not enough, but first I have to prove that I am utilizing this budget efficiently. My integrity is also under question. Even 2% budget, if you use it efficiently, results should have been much better. We want more money to justify our failure. If we fail, give us more money. Then again we will fail, give us more money. So first you have to prove that you have done good things with this existing budget.
Absolutely. I think you've hit the nail in the coffin by pointing out initially, like you said, that if you're able to efficiently spend the money that is allocated to you, I think it's enough for you to meet the needs and the challenges for which the money is being directed. And I guess that is the problem. A lot of the issues are the administrative, involuntary administrative costs, rent seeking, corruption that happens, and is very much a fundamental part of how the country unfortunately has been running and operating. So actually, now I want to take a step back and zoom out and just want to have your viewpoint that in Pakistan, we have a number of parallel education systems. They're like the private schools, some elite schools. Then we have the religious madrasas on one end. Then we have the public schools. And even like you initially pointed out, there was a survey done with the parents who tend to send their kids to madrasas, and they said they're not their inclination is not religious in nature. They're not driven by religious motivation. It's just the fact that, madrasas feed them food, they're able to house them. So they feel that it's just economically a more sound decision for them to send their kids to madrasas. So if, like you said, if the public school system is able to create a same cushion for those people and for those low income families, they would be sending the schools to public schools, where a better education system is being offered. But given the landscape that it is currently, do you think it is contributing towards a lot of disparity in the kind of human capital that we're creating? And like there's so much disparity in the education system. Obviously, it's going to drive and feed into economic disparity, income disparity, and just the nature of the educationally driven kids that we're producing who tend to grow up as adults.
I 100% agree with you. But the thing is, you have to move forward in a very holistic way. Like in Pakistan, many of your friends from your the place you are working, they always go in a very sequential way, one at a time, one at a time. In Pakistan, in this emergency, you have to address every issue. You have to connect madrasas with skill education, modern education, without compromising or raising some alarm for them. You have to improve the public sector education, and you have to just regulate
Exactly.
private sector. I'm not against the private sector. We have to learn from private sector also. So I am engaging them. Like in our case, a lot of interventions are now being carried out with the private sector education partners. So we can learn from each other. And it's better to bring up the level of public education than to bring down the level of private sector. So private sector is creating healthy competition. We have to improve the quality of public sector. Let them grow. But still, they are very small in number. Like in Cambridge, total 30,000 students appear in the A-level exam. Less than 0.0% of the 1% of the public sector exam. So that small number, and out of that small number, only few thousand, 3,000-4,000 go abroad. Others, they remain, they stay back in Pakistan. So sometimes it is the discussion is very over exacerbated. So it's not that a problem. We have to focus on our work, and the more we will improve the whole education ecosystem, it will be better for us, and it will bring at least the medium and the low-cost schools students to the public sector schools, because here there is no fee, books are free now. If the school meal is free, technology is there, labs are there, new interventions there. Why should they go to a private school? So healthy competition with better services will help us in improving this situation. And the remaining part, the problem is complicated, but you have to start from somewhere. So we have started, and let's see. But my problem is I have no idea whether I'm there tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So I am doing it that every day is my last day.
So that's actually like the continuity of policy design and implementation is again another, a different level issue altogether, which tends to block whenever good change is being made. But before we wrap up, how do you think we will be able to get a grip on this issue and we'll be able to bring the number of out-of-school children down from 44% to, something much more reasonable?
I'll tell you. I've been meeting with World Bank, ADB, World Food Program, UNICEF, FCDO people. I always tell them, once I told them, I don't need your money. So, Canadian High Commissioner was saying that I want to support. I said, I don't need. I said, why? I said, you take too long. A lot of scouting missions, reports, inception reports, consultant, and after 2 years, neither I am here nor you are there. And we are lost. So we only need your advocacy. Whenever you intervene in a very big power project, infrastructure project, connect it with some social sector policy action. So, so that it will help us only do advocacy for us. Put education on the national agenda. That's the only thing which will help the people of Pakistan. So your the infrastructure projects should have policy actions of social factor, health indicators, more enrollment, more investment. So that will that's one way of doing things.
I think that's a great suggestion, and that should be definitely be embedded in their KPIs and their deliverables whenever there are things which are more in, infrastructure oriented, like you said, in nature. So again, just last thing. So are you optimistic about the future?
I'm a compulsive optimist. No reason. I have no reason to be not to be optimist, because I've seen people rising. I've seen nation rising, and and I will be hold to account. I will be held to account on my intervention, and I've seen things improving. So I have a lot of hope. You have reached out to me for what?
Yeah.
This is my success, that you have come to me, and I have not reached out to you. That's my success, that I have put education on the national agenda. It has to be part of national narrative. So this makes me more positive.
I think this is the single biggest factor, this biggest issue that should be raised at the national level, and it's unfortunate that it hasn't gained the prominence that it should have years ago. But honestly, it was very. I think I'm very delighted to have spoken to you, because usually our discussions on Pakistan and the development issues are very dark and pessimistic in nature. But you've infused a sense of optimism and something to look forward for the future. And thank you for your contributions personally as well, and for leading this issue. It was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very kind. Thank you, sir.